Okay, good morning, everybody. It's now 9:05 a.m. on the 10th of April, 2024. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Raymond, would you do roll call, or Robert, who's doing this?
Yes, sir, I'm back.
You're back.
So I'll take the lead. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Reyes. Here. Ms. Bettis.
Here.
Ms. Bird. Here. Ms. Enriquez.
Here.
And Ms. Wilson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, is there any public comment, Rick?
None received.
None received. Okay, has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from the March 13th meeting? If so, I will look for a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 3 on the agenda. Would you read that into the record, please, Robert?
Yes, sir. Consider and approve a resolution authorizing the issuance and delivery of Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority Senior Lien Vehicle Registration Fee Revenue Refunding Bonds, Series 2024, approving the form and authorizing the execution and delivery of a 4th supplemental trust indenture, selecting the bond underwriters from the authority's previously identified pool, authorizing the execution and delivery of a purchase agreement, authorizing the execution and delivery of an amendment to the Transportation Project and Pledge Agreement, authorizing the execution and delivery of other documents and instruments in connection therewith, and enacting other provisions relating thereto. I think it's pretty straightforward.
That was an amazing job. There are so many therewiths and theretos that we can't go wrong. So, action, please. What is the process?
Yes, sir. So Robert Suter, Director of Finance, for the record. So first, I'd just like to point out the Finance Committee reviewed this item yesterday, and we spent time with each of the documents and talked through them. With us today, we have our financial advisors from Hilltop Securities, Richard Ramirez and Esther Flores, and we have Paul Braden, our bond counsel, to discuss some of these items with you. And afterwards, we'll be asking for some signatures from you, including getting some things notarized. So please, the two of you, we're going to need to hang around afterwards. In essence, just background, I guess, you'll recall we have VRF1 and VRF2. VRF1 was issued in 2014. VRF2 was issued in 2017. It's a vehicle registration fees that we receive from the county. We issued the bonds. We complete projects for the county. We have a call date 10 years after the first issuance. The call date allows us to refund and pay off the outstanding principal on some or all of the remaining outstanding principal, of which there's $56 million. We're looking at doing a partial, because one of the things we only want to do this if it has current or present value savings. If it doesn't make us make money, it's no good to us. So we're going to get a PowerPoint from Hilltop, but basically what we're doing is refinancing our mortgage, and we're hoping to get a lower interest rate that will allow us to save money and increase the surplus that is in the bonds, and accumulate that and make more money available to complete projects. So instead of paying interest to bondholders, we'll save a little bit of that and then be able to use those funds to complete additional projects or projects that need additional funding. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Esther Flores from Hilltop, and if IT could bring up the PowerPoint.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Is this a total refunding, or are we doing any partial
Hold
payoff?
on. One second. I'm sorry, Joyce, we're having trouble hearing you. Could you say that again?
Is this a total refunding, or are we doing a partial payoff?
We're looking at partial right now because the total is not advantageous to present value savings.
Okay, but we are looking at some payoff.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
So Richard Ramirez and I, we serve as financial advisor to the authority, and thank you for having us today. So a quick just overview of the proposed transaction. In 2014, the authority issued the Senior Lien Vehicle Registration Fee Revenue Bonds, Series 2014, that funded various projects related to the 2013 El Paso County Comprehensive project that has started in 2021. And this would allow the authority to refund approximately $68 million currently outstanding and eligible for funding, so approximately $65 million. And as Robert said, out of the eligible insurance that we find, only approximately $36 million sorry about that. As of right now, based on current market rates, so it would be a partial refunding that would still produce debt service savings. Currently, the $36 million is generating approximately $1.7 million in net PV savings, which is approximately 4.6%. And by refunding these bonds, you would overall reduce your debt service requirements. And as Robert said, this would allow this excess revenues to fund additional projects. No?
You lost control of the PowerPoint.
I'll come back to this slide. So just, next step. So, well, in February, the authority board selected the underwriting pool. This week on Monday, the county approved the amended TPPA agreement. And today, we are asking for the approval of this transaction. On April 22nd, we are meeting with S&P to discuss the credit rating and post the preliminary official statement, the document that would go out to the investors on May 3rd and price thereafter May 15 and close on June 5th. So just a quick overview of the upcoming events. The financing team, Hilltop Securities as financial advisor. We have Paul Braden here from Norton Rose as bond counsel. The senior manager that has been selected is Ramirez & Company. Co-manager, Piper Sandler & Company. And Stifel was also selected, but they did decide to pull out of this transaction just because they are the financial advisor to the county. Underwriters Council, Winstead, and serving as trustee is Bank of New York. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to bond counsel Paul Braden. Thank you.
Good morning. Paul Braden with Norton Rose Fulbright, bond counsel to the RMA. So what the transaction that was just described by Robert and Esther, the action taken, the way this will be memorialized is through the action taken by the board with respect to a resolution. So the resolution that's been as part of the backup behind you does several things. And one of the things it does is it approves the forms of documents by which the bonds are issued. So the bonds are issued pursuant to a trust indenture, so that's approved as part of the resolution. The TPPA amendment, which is the contract between the county and the RMA by which the vehicle registration fees come over to pay for the bonds, that's being amended for certain technical issues. The county approved it on Monday as stated, and so you're approving that today as part of the amendment. Within the resolution, there are certain parameters that are set. The idea is that you are giving delegated authority to technically to the chair, but more expectedly to Raymond as executive director and Robert as director of finance, and they're allowed to move forward with pricing of the bonds and moving forward with the transaction if certain parameters are met. So the board has the authority. The board is providing the authority to your officers within certain parameters, and the parameters are basically what was discussed by Hilltop, which is the aggregate amount of the bonds won't exceed the amount of the outstanding amount of bonds. This is only refunding. You're not issuing new money bonds, so there's no way that this refunding will result in more bonds than $56,290,000. The refunding has to present present value savings of at least 3%. So that's one of the parameters. People talked about savings. Has to be on a present value basis and at least 3%. So when Robert alluded to the fact that the RMA may not move forward with refunding all of the bonds, it's because some of those bonds aren't producing a high enough level of savings. If the market moves and there's more savings, then there'll be more bonds to allow for refunding. So again, sort of common sense makes sense. Then there's an aggregate true interest cost parameter, so the bonds won't carry a true interest cost of more than 5%. The expectation is it'll be less than that, but that's just a parameter set as required by statute. And then the bonds won't mature any later than June 1, 2044, which is the current maturity date for the bonds. So as part of the refunding, you're not stretching anything out. You're not making it longer. You're staying within the current term of the bonds. And so those are the parameters that are set as part of this transaction. Otherwise, it's, again, just additional legal documents, including the purchase agreement with respect to the underwriters. The underwriters, as identified in the PowerPoint, are identified in the resolution as the pool. If for some reason there had to be a substitution or an additional underwriter added, which is not expected, the pricing officers are authorized to pick somebody from your existing pool that was approved if it's recommended to do that. The official statement, which has been reviewed, is also being approved, and then the action that would be requested by both staff and the professionals involved would be approval of the resolution as presented.
All right. This is just a simple little resolution. That's very, very complicated in its simplicity and with a whole bunch of potential legal hurdles in there that we need to cross. So the Finance Committee, Sissy, and you guys, you said you reviewed this in detail? Are we good, and do we have counsel that has looked at all of this as well?
I think, yes. When we reviewed this, we did it in 2 meetings, actually, and we feel comfortable on our decision. And as far as the information that was given to us and for the board to understand the different parts of this, I think that we are truly comfortable with it. Because when we have our meetings, we truly go in detail.
I believe that of you, for sure. Okay. Counsel, review of all of this?
Excuse me, yes, sir. Raymond Tejas, Executive Director of the Camino Real RMA. As mentioned earlier by Mr. Braden, he is our outside bond counsel, and he reviews and drafted, in fact, several of these documents as well. So we are comfortable from the legal standpoint as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me, just one additional point. I am your lawyer, so I did prepare the documents and ensure they comply with the law. In addition, as every bond deal in Texas does, this goes to the Attorney General's office. So as part of the bond issuance, the AG we, as your counsel, will submit a transcript to the AG. The AG will review it, and then they'll make a determination, and it's a thorough review. They'll make a determination that the bonds are valid, incontestable, and legally issued. And they'll issue an opinion, their opinion as part of this bond issuance that will bless the transaction. So after you go through the AG's process, it's legal for all purposes of Texas law.
All right, board members, any questions that you have on this? Everybody good to go?
We're good.
Sissy? Okay, so...
This is Joyce. I just want to ask Paul Braden, when is he going to build the arena?
Morning, Joyce. I hope you're doing well.
I am. I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve this in total as it is presented.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second, and any other further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you all very much for all the work you put into this, because this is no simple little action we just did. So thank you all very, very much. Okay, item number 4, discussion and action on board resolutions authorizing the execution of the following instruments as they relate to the Federal Safe Streets for All grant program. A, interlocal agreement with El Paso County, and B, interlocal agreement with the El Paso Metropolitan Planning Organization, Eduardo here so represented. Okay. So,
Yes, sir. Let me provide a little bit of background. I know that we've discussed this briefly in the past, but by way of background, this program here, the Safe Streets for All, is a federal program that provides grant funds to local communities. And it really consists of two distinct components. The first component deals with the development of what's called the Safety Action Plan. So the federal government will provide certain funds to local governments to develop this safety action plan, which really consists of multiple safety projects throughout the community. And then, once you've developed your safety action plan, then you can go after a second pot of funding to actually construct those projects that are identified within the safety action plan. So some time ago, our MPO, our regional our Metropolitan Planning Organization, went after a grant application, or submitted a grant application for that first bucket of funds, the funds that would fund a safety action plan. They have received word that it has been successful, and they have been working on a relationship with El Paso County to provide the funding to serve as the local match. The grant application that has been approved is for a total amount of $750,000. $150,000 of that needs to come from the local community. And so through a relationship between the MPO and the county has agreed to provide that local match of $150,000. So what you see before you as item 4A is an interlocal agreement. I should mention also, the county wants to pay for that local match through the vehicle registration fee program. So what you see as item 4A is an interlocal between the county and the RMA, which would allow access for the RMA to pull $150,000 from the vehicle registration fee program and provide that to the county, to the MPO for development of the safety action plan. And then that's what you see under item 4B, the transfer of those funds over to the MPO. We've also included language in item 4B that would allow the RMA to also provide certain services to the MPO should they need additional support in addition to the funds. So for example, we could develop a portion or pieces of the safety action plan as well. The reason why this is so great for our community is that once that safety action plan is complete, and it will include all areas within the MPO, so there will be safety projects identified for all communities within our region, then those individual communities will then be able to take those projects out of the plan and seek additional funding from the federal government for completion of those projects. So this is a great program for our region, and we're happy to play a part in it. As you mentioned, Mr. Calvo from the MPO is here, should you have any questions of him.
Mr. Calvo, any comments, sir?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Eduardo Calvo. I'm the Executive Director of the El Paso Metropolitan Planning Organization. I think Mr. Tellez really described the program very well, and thank you for that. What I do want to say is mostly to thank the county and the RMA for this. It's a great partnership opportunity here. As Mr. Tellez explained, we're going after, or the grant that we were, that was awarded to us is really to develop a safety action plan. And what is really, really cool about this one is that there are several action plans already in place. For example, TxDOT does their own safety plan, but it's limited to on-system facilities, right? So it's only on the state highway system. The city of El Paso last year completed their own action plan, or Vision Zero plan, which is, very similar, but it's only within the limits of the city of El Paso, and it's limited only for city of El Paso roadways, right? So what's really good about the MPO coming in and doing one for the entire region is that we cover everybody. We're going to cover everything, not only the city of El Paso and the on-system facilities for TxDOT, but also the smaller communities, Socorro, Benton, Clint, and also the unincorporated areas within the county of El Paso. So I think MPOs are really, really well suited to develop these regional action plans because, again, we cover everybody, and, safety is really it's not just an on-system, off-system thing, it's for everybody. So we're very excited and very grateful to the county and the RMA for this coming in and helping us with a non-federal match. So, we're very excited to do that. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
I would just recommend approval, but happy to answer any questions as well.
All right, any questions from the board?
I just have one. Is there any duplication in there that would be of interest to taxpayers in terms of saving money? For individual, the smaller unincorporated community?
So what we're going to do in developing the regional plan, we're going to take, obviously, what's already been done by the city and whatever TxDOT has and put it all together. So there's really no duplication. Maybe a little bit of an update, given that these plans, or the city completed their plan a year ago. But there's really no duplication. But what is really good is that this opens the door for all the communities, like Mr. Day said. Once we complete this regional plan, now all the communities within the NPO region will be eligible to apply for implementation grants, which is the second part of the SS4A program that Mr. Day has described.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions, discussion? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have
Motion carries.
something to say, though, about the Safe Streets program. It is amazing how other cities are actually copying this program from El Paso. In case anybody else didn't know, I went to San Antonio and with AARP, and we discussed the Safe Streets, how they're duplicating a lot of this program from El Paso. So I just want to say that's very good. Thank you.
Okay, so we now go to agenda item number 5, and that's discussion and action on board resolutions authorizing the execution of amendments to the following instruments as they relate to the Tom Mays Drive Extension Project. A, work authorization number 2 with Moreno Cardenas, Inc., and B, work authorization number 49 with Atkins North America, Inc. So, staff?
Yes, sir. As a reminder, this Tom Mays Drive Extension Project is a project that we've partnered with El Paso County on. And this one, we've brought in Moreno Cardenas to serve as our designer of record for this one through our IDC program. This amendment relates to a request by El Paso County to increase the landscaping design for this particular project to match some of the developments that are coming online in that area. So what you see under item 5A then is an amendment to the design agreement to increase the funding available for the additional landscaping. And then 5B is the associated amendment to the Atkins work authorization for additional oversight for those additional landscaping design services. So these amounts have been reviewed and approved by the county, and we do have a representative from the county here, Mr. Daniel Marcus. Do you have any questions? Otherwise, I would recommend approval of this item as well.
Okay, County Rep, you here? Okay. Any comments you'd like to make?
Good morning, Daniel Marquez, El Paso County. No comments. We're excited about this amendment. It has been a partnership with Home Developments, so pretty much we want just to align what they are foreseen on the future on the area for the county to take responsibility of the roadway. So we don't have any questions or recommendation. It will be just for approval.
Okay, any questions, the board? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, agenda item number 6, discussion and action on a board resolution related to the required annual security awareness training certification, which authorizes A, the chair to execute a governing board acknowledgement form, and B, executive director to submit documentation evidencing compliance.
This item you'll recognize we do each year as required by state statute, so I would recommend approval of this resolution. The resolution and the form are included as part of your backup.
Okay, we have a bureaucratic requirement that we need to approve. Does anybody have any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve. Have a motion
A second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, discussion and action on the following reports for the second quarter fiscal year 2024. A, the interim financial statement. B, the investment report. C, El Paso Pike Share Sun Cycle Program. And D, General Engineering Consultant Team's use of local resources.
Good morning, Robert Studer. So the Finance Committee did review these items in detail yesterday. A good discussion, as we often have. They do recommend approval to the full board. We did have joining us yesterday Louis Meyer, who the board named as an additional investment officer. He's the Treasury Services Coordinator for the city, and so he came to introduce himself to the Finance Committee. And so we had him there yesterday. We also had a pretty robust discussion and talked about the fact that we would like to more formally invite other members of the board to participate in a future Finance Committee meeting to see the level of depth and detail that we do go into. So we will be meeting in July and August, and so I'll include that. We send an email out to you when we post the agenda, but we'll call out that a little bit more clearly. We would like you to consider attending that one of our meetings in the future. But other than that, I think the committee recommends approval.
Any comments, Sissy?
And yes, we did discuss you. And no, it's all good because it just, we as a finance committee, we meet, and you as the chair for the planning committee meet. And I just think that maybe we should go into each other's meetings because we do the money part, but you do the other part. And I think we need to communicate a little bit more with each other. And we also decided we will attend the planning meeting also so we can get a better understanding of how it all works together. So that's how come we talked about you, Jim, yesterday.
Okay, Planning Committee will take that under advisement, so.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, City of El Paso rep, that mentioned, that nobody's here, they were at your meeting. Okay. Okay, any further discussion or questions on this from the staff or the board? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Just, I would highlight the Sun Cycle, that we had an increase in that. That's a good.
Yes, we continue to see increased ridership and increased revenue. We talked about that at the last meeting and actually went through the PowerPoint, but ridership was up 38% in this quarter compared to the same quarter last year. So we continue to see good ridership numbers. And the station that we installed at Escarte, our first one along the PDN Trail, was our 5th busiest station out of 20. And it wasn't installed until December 14th, and the time period we're talking about is December 1st through February 29th. And so very positive news to see that station is doing well. And Mr. Tejas in the next item will talk about a launch event we're going to do at that station to bring some awareness. We've not really marketed it in any way, and it's already performing very well. So that's exciting to see.
So there's probably a big positive impact from the cancellation of the e-scooter stuff?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Okay, any further discussion?
And the replacement of the bikes, all of that has been concluded, or is it ongoing?
It's ongoing. We're waiting to hear back. I think TxDOT still is not signed off or given us a draft of the AFA, but as soon as we get that, we'll place an order, and I guess we'll have to bring that to you all, and then we'll place the order and get moving on that as fast as possible.
And there's work going on from the bridge at Country Club towards Sunland Park. That's going to be integrated as part of this?
No, unfortunately not. We're waiting for those construction activities to complete, and then hopefully we'll get approval from IVWC to place a couple of stations along that route. But we are waiting for those construction activities to complete.
Well, that seems to be unnatural to add.
I think so, and with the reception that we've gotten on Ascarate's station, which is right by the Playa Drain Trail, we anticipate some really high usage up in the valley as well.
Okay, so we take this in total as one action. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, agenda item number 8, staff reports. A, Fabens Sidewalks Project groundbreaking, April 5th. B, the Sun Cycle Scardi Station launch event, April 27th at 9 a.m. And C, status of the Pelicano Drive widening project.
Okay, a couple of quick good news items. That first item, 8A, Fabens Sidewalks Project, as you read into the record, we had a groundbreaking on that out in Fabens last week. Well attended. It was a great event. We brought some boards so you can have a look on your way out and see the impact we're going to have there. I think we're linking to the schools out there, and it's just going to be a great addition to the Fabens community. So very excited about that project, and we did launch last week. Item 8B then, we've touched on that. That's the Sun Cycle Ascarate station that we just launched. And so we've got an event. We've been planning an event. We've partnered with El Paso County, their Parks Division. We've partnered also with the Paso Norte Trails section. So we're having a kind of a joint event. The Paso Norte Health Foundation, their Trails Division is having an event a few miles down the road. So we'll be doing some cross promotion with them. With Ascarate Park, we're coordinating a little more intently with them. They've got quite a few events happening that morning, so we're hoping to cross-promote with them and see a nice bump in ridership on that particular day. So we're really looking forward to that. Once we have, I've seen a draft of the invitation. Once we finalize that, of course, we'll share it with the board and make sure you all are notified. So we're really excited about that event as well. So with that takes us then to the Pelicano Drive project. So if you're subject to any questions that you may have, I'll read a few things into the record for the public, the benefit of the public, and then I will ask that we go into executive session for a little more detailed discussion on these items. So for Pelicano, since last month, we've continued our coordination with the attorney that's been hired by the Commissioner's Court. I spoke with him as recently as Monday to brief them on the latest and keep them up to date. I've also continued to provide updates to Commissioner's Court. We've been to see them on March 25th, and then most recently this past Monday on April 8th, and we provide updates to them on where we are. So that's ongoing. In terms of the default as it relates to the surety, the RMA, we have provided a written response to the surety's prior letter. We provided that back on March 22nd, and we have reached out to them to discuss this in a little more detail. So that's ongoing. I'll go into a little more detail on that in executive session. In terms of the default, as far as it relates to the construction contractor, JAR, and the trustee, there's no change on that front. So no new information to report there. On the bankruptcy, we have now begun to receive requests for information from the trustee. I know that, I think we mentioned last time, there had been some, I think about 5 different subpoenas that had been issued, and we've now received a request for information from the trustee. This is all in relation to the declaratory judgment action that we filed against them and the trial that we're heading towards summer this year. So we are working on our information requests as well, so those should go out soon. We also, back on March 13th, we filed a motion to dismiss the trustees' counterclaims. As I mentioned, when we filed the declaratory judgment action, they filed a response and a counterclaim. So we are asking the judge to dismiss those counterclaims. So we'll touch on that in a little more detail in executive session. And then lastly, on the construction side, as you know, we've talked about a certain approach with that, and we'll discuss that in more detail in executive session. But we are in conversations with TxDOT on that particular item. So that's what I have for you on that. Happy to answer any questions that I can. Otherwise, I would ask that we move into executive session to discuss the Bevacano project in a little more detail. And I would note that that does conclude the rest of the agenda, so the members from the public are certainly welcome to.
Thank you. Before we go into executive session, I see people in the audience that evidently have an interest in what we're doing. I see Richard Dayu back there and Eddie Valtier. Are you now a consultant or something? Okay. But any comments, or we appreciate the interest that everybody has in what's going on in the board. And you're welcome. If you got any comments you'd like to make at this time, that would be great. If not, we're going to, yes, we have Richard Dayu who's going to make a comment.
The record, Richard Dayu, Thunderbird Management Consulting. I just have a question, mostly to Raymond. So following your executive session, will there be an outbrief to the audience with regard to the Pelicano process?
No, that would, the information that I shared with you is
Okay.
what we're able to share with the public at this time.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, so with that being said, thank you all very much. We're going to be going into executive session, so all other people are excused, and when we reconvene, it will just be for the purposes of adjournment. Is that correct? Thank you all very much for attending. It is now 10:15 a.m. on April 10th, 2024. The Board of Directors of the CRRMA is reconvening its open meeting after deliberations in executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071. The board consulted with its attorney but took no action in executive session. So, do we need to call roll again?
No, sir.
Okay, we have a quorum in executive session. Is there any further business?
No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. We are adjourned.